Sorry about that.
We're delighted to have with us
I
Sister,
wasn't abandoning you.
Sister Linda Solar, who I was introduced to at our uh, religious appreciation dinner last December by one of you faithful members, and I've been kind of pursuing her ever since, and I think that worked. She's a member of the Order of St. Benedict, has a remarkably diverse background of service, which she'll share with us. Very much engaged with young people, and she has some thoughts she'll share with us about vocations and encouraging vocations to the priesthood in today's culture. She's in it from high school to Hill Murray, and also a chaplain for the Sheriff's Office. So very diverse background, and looking forward to very entertaining. Wow.
Okay.
I have to before you even start,
Oh,
I have shared this with a number of people.
oh, okay.
Her motto in life: be careful as to how you live. You may be the only Bible a person ever reads.
There you go. That's the truth. That is the truth. Well, first of all, good afternoon. And it was really a warm invite from your group to come and speak. So I want to say thank you for that invitation. I recently was at the CERD group in Edina. Trust me, this was easier to find. Okay? A lot of energy in that group. There's energy in this group. So my question is, why are you even here today? Why are you here? Why are you sitting here, sharing a meal, having a meeting? It's because of your mission. It's because of what you believe in as a sin. And before I go into St. Paul's Monastery, I have 3 parts of my talk, and we're up props. So 3 parts. And I want to first say thank you for your work in the church, in the larger church. I remember when I was in vocation work 200 years ago, that the Sarens played a very important part when it came to our retreats, parish vocation ministry. The Sarens always seemed to have been there when we had the large vocation events. And Roberta is a witness to working with me up in Buffalo when we would have those vocation retreats. And yeah, wonderful experience, wonderful memories. So, I first want to say who I am. I am Sister Linda, you're right. And I just turned to what we would call Medicare. So that'll tell you how old I am. On April 11th, I did turn 65. And I've been involved for 35 years. St. Paul's Monastery is located in Maplewood. We are right next to Hill Murray School. We are at 15 sisters. The average age is 88. So I'm just a kid, okay, at age 65. I'm just a kid. Presently, I serve the monastery in leadership. My title is sub-prioress, which probably doesn't mean anything to anyone unless I explain what it is, and that is a vice president. So this is my 3rd round as sub-prioress for the monastery. So we have leadership. We follow the rule of St. Benedict. We are the oldest order out there. We are 1,500 years old. Well, don't I look good? I think I look good for being 1,500 years old. I really do. I always share that with the kids, you know. They don't look good for being 1,500 years old. So we follow the rule of Benedict. Our staple is hospitality. All guests are to be received as Christ. Not some. All guests are to be received as Christ. Also, if you don't want to live in community, and if you don't want to pray as a community, my recommendation would be do not become a Benedictine. because we do live in community, we pray 3 times a day, and everything is in common with us. Everything is in common. We have I have a bag here with some materials in it. We have a Benedictine Center. That is our retreat center. That is a huge ministry of ours today. We have programming. We have spiritual direction. We have people who come and want to just spend a day for reflection. We may have someone come just for one night. And sometimes we'll get mothers who just need a break. And that is healthy. That is modeling self-care. So we encourage that in society, in the church, that you take that time to be with God. You take that time for self-care. And through that ministry, we have guests throughout the year. And so it's our job as a monastic community to welcome them. And we say welcome them, that is to our meals and to our prayer life. And most people who come say they have really experienced peace. They have experienced peace. We are now in the process of looking at our future. Every community is if they're doing their homework. And we are doing our homework. I give my community a lot of credit for the work we have done to be where we are today. Because we had a monastery that had 114 bedrooms. And we moved to a new monastery with 40 bedrooms. So we're already ahead about going smaller, but to build smarter. So we did that. And so now we have to look at, okay, we have 15 sisters, 40 bedrooms. Now what's our next move? And I think Benedictines are always in discernment. You know, we're always discerning how to improve maybe our community life. It could be how do we discern where we're represented and how's our future, and you have your finances, you have your whole entire structure. And we take that seriously. Discernment is taken very seriously with a capital D. So we are now looking at doing this, okay, with Hill Murray School. But before we can move forward with Hill Murray School, what we need is approval from Rome. Time out. Oh, it is closed.
Yeah.
They got some Sister Lindas out here. That's all right. With the chaplain voice. So, what does that mean? It means that we will be working with Hill Murray School on how can we continue those Benedictine values. And as you know, they're 1,500 years old. They're not going to die when our last sister dies. So they will continue to carry out our mission and those Benedictine values. But that is in process right now. So we are looking at our future very seriously. So, what can you do? That's the question. What can you do to promote vocations? It's unfortunate that at the monastery we had to come to the decision to come to completion, which means we are not accepting vocations at this time because we don't have the resources to form them. And this is a question you may not be aware of, but it's a question communities are looking at. It's our reality. I'm not going to hide that from you. That was not an easy decision for the community. It just wasn't. It took a lot of time before we finalized that decision. Now we do have what we call oblates. O-B-L-A-T-E-S. Oblates are men and women who, it's an ecumenical program, and what they do is they go through a formation, similar to like an RCIA. They meet monthly, we prep them, they learn about the rule, they get to know the community. Then they do what we call final oblation. And that's gonna happen for us this weekend, where we will receive them as oblates. So what does that mean? They will live the rule of Benedict. They will come to prayer. They have committed themselves to St. Paul's Monastery. I don't know what that means for the individual oblate. They have to make that decision. But they are carrying out our mission outside the monastery. Okay? So that is a program that they have been very successful in at the monastery. I don't know what our total number is, but I'm gonna say roughly 150 oblates. And so that's another way we can take our Benedictine life and carry it out to the larger church. So what can you do? I'm back to that question. What can you do? Because that's what oblates are doing. First of all, membership. If you want to promote religious vocations, how do you grow here as a group, as a club? How do you get new members? How are you recruiting for the Sarahs? I don't know that answer. That's between you and God. But what are you doing to promote this particular organization? Because the larger you are, the new members that you have, the more you can do by going out. I think finances, I know you are generous in helping candidates go through the seminary and just supporting your priests and religious. But that's money. Prayer. Prayer is your number one support. Money helps, I'm not going to deny that. Money helps. However, it's your prayer. It's how you want to live out your mission. Are you present at the vocation events? Are you going to be present at the ordinations? Are you going to go to someone who's committing to vows? Are you looking at the brothers in our archdiocese? Now, the Franciscan Brother of Peace have a great ministry. Call them up. Go there. Call me up and come to the monastery. Call a religious community and get to know them by saying, you like to come over. Are you open to it? I can't imagine anyone saying, oh, sorry, we really don't want you. Just come for 5 minutes. I don't see that happening. Because I see your priests and religious, when I say religious, I'm talking about brothers as well, okay? So I'm not going to exclude them. Your priests and religious, I believe, if they're living out their vocation fully, they will welcome you with open arms. And then that's your opportunity to ask them, what can the Sarans do for you, and what can they do for the Sarans? That's got to be a two-way question and answer. So that is St. Paul's Monastery. So I am going to tell you right now, you are all welcome. So if you want to see the monastery, give me a call. And we have people in and out continuously. I mean, it's nothing new for the sisters to see a guest. New to you, but not new to us. So is that good?
That's good.
Okay, now I have to go put something else on, because now I'm gonna be a sports chaplain, okay? So and I said I was gonna do this, so I have my hoodie, so now I'm a sports chaplain, okay? Very obvious. Great. So this is a hoodie I would wear just in general. Alright, so what is a sports chaplain? Well, I do work at Hill Murray School. Obviously, I'm kind of got a lot to do at the monastery, so I give Hill Murray like 8 hours a week. So when I was full-time once upon a time, I was doing all this service until I got called back to the monastery. I was not ready to leave that school, I just wasn't. So I had a conversation with the president, she says, hey, what do you wanna do? I would do anything, because I just absolutely support our youth. However, I thought, what about sports? So we have a program called Faith in Action. What does that mean? That means every team for fall, winter, and spring sports has to meet with me in the chapel. And I have a theme every year. This year, the theme is, your voice is an instrument of God. What do you do with that? So I go into that, what is a team, how to build a team, how a team can support one another, and then after I'm done, I bless the team. So, bless the team. Then they each get a Benedictine medal, because Hill Murray was started and formed by the Benedictine sisters. In fact, that school was built before the monastery. In fact, the bedrooms the sisters had are now being used as practice rooms for the band. Isn't that interesting? So when I go in there, it's like I can almost visualize what this looked like when they opened that school. And they get a Benedictine medal. Some of those players will say, Sister Linda, I already have one. I said, that's wonderful, now you have 2. And another one says, Sister Linda, you know what I do? I said, no, what's that? Every year, every team he labeled. Because I said, you know what? That second Benedictine medal, it's a whole different team. It's a whole different team. Whole different meaning. Benedict stays the same, but the meaning changes. And so after that, then I had the whole team stand up and we extend both arms over the coach or coaches. And we bless them. So that's the Faith in Action. I try very hard to attend 1 game per team. I have not been too successful this particular season. I don't know why, I just haven't been. But like, for example, you know, I'll go to a lacrosse game, boys, and then it's girls, and then it's baseball, then it's softball, and track and field, my goodness, I could never catch up with them. You know, I'd be out of breath the first 10 steps. But I try to be present. And then that is also expanded to the parents. So what are we really doing with Faith in Action? We are really promoting another avenue for those youth to have pastoral ministry. And you know what? It's working. It's working. Because they will come to me during the season and talk about their struggles. Or their accomplishments. It doesn't matter. What matters is that they're talking and they're heard. That's what matters. And it is so much fun to work with these teams. It is just a blast. And every team has their own flavor, you know. And the only team that gets to me every week is football. Because football, I was doing when I was full-time. So when I went part-time, I could not leave that team. Because we have a routine set in place. So now it's a Friday. What are we gonna do? All right. So there we are, we're all in chapel, 3 o'clock. I got all these boys, big teddy bears, right in front of me. And we have a blast. You know, if we're playing a certain team, I'll have their logo. And we're like, does this look like someone that can beat you? And, you know, things like that. And we just kind of laugh, which is a way to relax the team. But then we dial in. Then we start looking at Jesus. If it's a home game, They sit below the cross in our chapel and they look up. And I will say to them, what is that man on the cross saying to you now? What? And what do you need? If it's an away game, we do a meditation, a visual meditation. So they get to go on their backs. It relaxes them a little bit more before they have to get on the bus. And I talk about, the football. What does it feel like in your hands? And, your shoes on the turf and hearing the whistle. And what are you hearing? What coach is talking at this time? What does the goalpost look like? The lights, things like that. So I do more visuals. Then we get up and we all know the Our Father is a universal prayer, so that's what we do. And I have this motto with all the teams, and that is, we always end with this: Saint Benedict, pray for us. Mary, Queen of Victory. What? Victory. What? Victory. That in all things, God may be glorified. They have that down. Because the name of our field is Mary, Queen of Victory. And they know that victory doesn't mean they're going to win. It has a different meaning. Mary's victory is not about a football score. So they do know that. So I am on the field with them. But before we even touch the field, before a game, after practice, they're on the field for that, the warm-ups. We'll pray again. And they're all down on one knee. And they touch the cross before they leave our field house. Because I tell them to leave whatever that doesn't belong on the field at the cross. And that's what we do. And then on the sidelines, things come up. One may be discouraged. Maybe they just need a word of support. That's all right. Whatever they need. And then I have my one-liners too. Come on, boys. You just see, where do you think you are? The Sleep Number store? You buy tickets to buy this game? Whose mommy came down here and was singing you a lullaby? So things like that. So I do get into it. And sure enough, when they score, there I am. Right there. Right there to give them that hug of good job. Good job. And that's all they need, So that's what I do at Bill Murray. But again, it's more than that. Sometimes it can take me 30 minutes to get from where I walked in, what door I walked in, to my office. Because maybe something has to be dealt with one of the students. So it's bigger than sports. But right now, that's what we're calling it. Okay, so that's sports chapter. Okay, now I have to switch. Okay, now what am I? Now I am a chaplain for Ramsey County Sheriff. And this is a volunteer job. You're on call once a month. I have been thinking about this for quite some time, but it wasn't until August I said yes. I said yes. Papers were in process, and guess what? Enunciation. The shooting. I was there. Not at the school, but at HCMC. Horrific. Absolutely horrific. I saw things I wish I didn't have to see. A lot of emotional pain. A lot of fear. And that is including the staff. So I was there at HCMC. I'll never forget the lineup of ambulances, and it just was horrific. You can't make sense out of something like that. But prayer was welcomed by the families. Prayer was welcomed. So then shortly after that, I had a funeral for someone who graduated from St. Bernard's, because I went to St. Bernard's for 12 years. And I knew his family, and he died at a very young age. He was a police officer for years for St. Paul, and Rice Street was his thing, okay? So I participated in his funeral. as you know, we have swag that we wear. And one of the St. Paul police officers came up to me and said, "Sister, will you pray with me?"
Mm.
So again, presence is bigger than what I went for. Her dad had colon cancer, and she wanted prayer, and she was lighting one of the candles. So then there's these sudden deaths that we deal with. So far I have dealt with a 30, 40, 50, 60, and a 70-year-old who all died very suddenly. But the call that kind of still remains with me is that White Bear Fire, where the mother died and the 3 children. I was on scene for that. That was another horrific experience. That poor husband and father. Not only, again now, we know that all happened, but it gets bigger, see? Now we have a neighbor who saw the flames, was friends with one of the kids. Then we have another neighbor down here, you know, who saw the flames and knew the family well. It was a kind of a neighborhood where the kids would play with the kids. It was very free, it sounded like. A lot of trust. And I went to that memorial service as well. Horrific. Just horrific. Not to mention there were 2 debriefings. For everyone on site, we had to do debriefing at the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office. And shortly after that, we had another debriefing in White Bear, where that included Vadnais Heights, Little Canada, Matamidi, White Bear, and Maplewood firefighters. That was very good for all of us to get together and to hear the same message. But if this is not a call for prayer, I don't know what is. Because I really feel like this nurtures my vocation. Well, so does the monastery, and so does Hill Murray. This is a different type of outreach to the poor and to the vulnerable. And so I'm able, as a Benedictine, to take those values and share them. First thing I do is demonstrate hospitality. And then prayer, of course. And sometimes there's follow-up on these calls. Sometimes there isn't. And how they died, I won't go into now, but you can imagine, you know, that it's a variety of ways for these sudden deaths. And so I do ride-alongs. I have done ride-alongs with Maplewood Police and Roseville and the Ramsey County Sheriff. And when I did Roseville, I thought, okay, it's the day after Christmas. What are people gonna do? Return gifts and take down the Christmas tree, right? I thought this is gonna be a quiet day. I was in the squad 10 minutes and there was a shooting. And this is in the morning. I'm like, who are you kidding me? You know, so there I am, la 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 la. And it's like, I didn't see that one coming. So with ride-alongs, you don't know what to anticipate. You really don't. Maplewood, I'm pretty attuned to Maplewood because we're in Maplewood. And so we have what we call Operation Sister Linda, which is I'm with an officer in the squad and our speed limit is 25, okay, in front of the school. But sometimes we like to go a little fast. So you get it on radar. We know it's a student because they just pulled out of the parking lot and she stops them. She'll get their license, she explains why she stopped them and how she can give them a ticket, but she says there's another option. Well, here comes Sister Linda out of the squad. Boom, 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 boom. And, hi, Sister Linda. And I said, let's call Dad. Did I call him out? No, let's call Dad. And Dad gets on the phone. And they explained that, you know, they got stopped. And I talked to the dad and I said, they're not gonna get a ticket today. but I do wanna connect with them. No shame, no blame, no guilt, I just wanna check in. But once I get back to the monastery, I do call that parent again, just the two of us. And I explain why we're doing this, and it's for their safety and the safety of others. So yes, I do tend to work with Maplewood Police a little more, but we're not doing it to be funny, we're not doing it to be mean, we are doing it for safety. Because we care about our youth. And you know, that's just how youth are today. Well, back when you were a youth, think about how you drove. You know, I mean, I don't know, I would have been stopped several times, I think. But things are different today. And so that's something I do as a chaplain as well. So that's kinda my 3 parts. And now it's up to you to come up with questions. And, another thing too, when someone has a sudden death, one particular death, they had no one to bury them. So they called me and asked, would I do a prayer service? And at their wake, well, of course, I mean, how could I not? And every time I'm at one of those scenes or at a death, I always sing, and with them present, let's say it's a male, I'll say, receive his soul and present him to God the Most High, and then we bless that person. So that is really, this is a ministry I really, really feel called to. Because I do need the poor, and I do need the vulnerable, and I need to be with the people. So if you want to promote vocations, go and be with the people. That's where God is. God is with the people. Go be with the people. And wear your name tags. Don't just wear them here. Go to these events with your name tag on. Okay? I mean, my goodness, I even went to the Vikings draft party. And I got recognized there. And this, no lie, and this person said, oh, I know you, you're, Sister Linda. Yeah, Sister Linda. And told me where he met me and all this, but you know what he said? Will you pray with me? So here I'm at a Viking draft party, you know, waiting, and I'm praying. So how did that happen? You have to go and be with the people. And I bring up the draft party because who would ever think, right? Who would ever think at a Viking draft party I would be asked to pray with someone? But I do wave to Aaron Jones. And so it's what I want you to do as a Sarens. Go out and be with the people and promote. That's how you're going to get vocations. All right, now I'm back to Sister Linda at the monastery. So you can see the different images. Oh, there goes your stuff. Okay. Anyway, that's where we are. Would you like to pass those out? I mean, if you don't mind. Okay, any questions? Yes.
I am curious.
No, we're not having tacos.
Dang it.
She's the taco queen.
No, it's Taco Tuesday.
Yeah, Taco
So the
Tuesday.
Gallagher's, I'll be there.
Yeah.
So I'm not asking you to say anything more than what you already said with regard to the intersect with Hill Murray.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have deep curiosity about the relationships between communities that exist, Hill Murray, the Oblates, and the world of Benedict being in the world, and how that continues to grow out of this merger, how the Oblates then connect to the community there, promising a solid singular relationship to a mutual.
And I am following your question.
Okay, thank you.
And there's one answer.
Yeah.
Commitment. With a capital C. If the Oblates are committed, they will continue to live out that commitment. And with the school, at the monastery, and also in the world. The monastery will always have the Benedictine values. The school has it already because they're Benedictine.
So the oblates that you are bringing into community this weekend? Yeah. Is there promise, is the, as you see it now, is the promise a promise to place? Or is the promise a promise to, I don't know what that becomes if the place, the monastery ends its existence as a monastery, because not just you, there are. What happens with that? Is it transferred to Hill Murray? How do you think of it? I get the capital C commitment.
Yes, thank you for that question. I think at this time that's gonna be a little homework.
Okay,
I really do.
okay.
I would think they're gonna continue to be committed to the monastery, even if, Bill Murray is taking over that charism when the last sister does. But I have to be honest here, that deserves some more. Excellent question, though. Thank you. And enjoy your tacos tonight. Any other questions? Yes?
We had a priest, Father Edwin, from Cameroon originally. And chatting with him after, I said, what are your thoughts on big vocations? A lot of younger people aren't. He said, you got language problem.
Mm-hmm.
I said, really? The word vocation. All they think of is becoming a priest or a nun.
Yeah.
I said, well, okay, how do you do it? He said, we have a seminary full of them.
Mm-hmm.
We engage children, pray, listen for God
Mm-hmm.
in their life. And a significant number of them like religious life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Different approaches, but I'm fascinated by, we really view, when we say vocation, that's not about being a lawyer or a CPA or whatever, which is automatically religious.
Yeah.
Which, some people just say, what?
Well, doesn't it go back to our baptism? How we're all called. And we're either gonna be called to marriage for the males, or to be a priest or a deacon, or a religious, or to remain single. That's what the church supports. Those are our vocations. However, back in the day, when you did say vocation, they did think priest or to become a sister. I hear that from that generation. Did I experience that? I don't remember experiencing that. I do remember always talking about baptism. Until this day, that's my favorite thing to talk about is baptism. Everything goes back to baptism. And so our culture today, you think about this, what is religious life promoting? Obedience, poverty, although Benedict doesn't say poverty, he says simplicity, and celibacy, or chastity, that's what we're promoting. What's society promoting? Power, money, and sex. So it gets to be a challenge, and some of it is cultural. And until we teach them, they may not feel invited. But nothing, no poster, no talk, nothing can replace the personal invitation. We don't have the religious out there like we used to. At the monastery, I'm the only one at this time bringing in an income. So I'm out there. Again, it's not about money, it's about presence. So, and some of our other sisters get out, don't get me wrong. But I am on a weekly basis out there. And it was very interesting, last night Hill Murray had their senior dinner, where they get their awards, and graduation is this Thursday. And one of the students looked at me and said, "Sister, can I hear about your faith journey?" So I don't think we're gonna cover that ever. But I did start a little bit. And she says, that is so interesting. And so it's that will promote religious vocations. And she is kind of, she's not gonna take religious life and just toss it off to the side. It's in her mind right now. So I wanna stay in touch with her. That's how you do it. So.
What was your greatest influence for your faith journey? What clicked with you about the Benedictines versus something else?
Excellent question. My mother died very suddenly of a heart attack. When she was 39, I was 8. My father had a 14, 12, 10, 8, and 6-year-old at age 40. He was my influence because he had to cut corners financially in order to keep his 5 kids in a Catholic school. That was not an option for him. And guess what? It was a Benedictine school. So when I joined the community, I was living with some of my past teachers. There's a challenge and a half. I mean, I was no longer that 4th grader, or that 9th grader. So it was really different to see them in that role versus as a teacher. So my faith, my father was my rock. And I cared for him for 9 years. And it did affect me physically, I will admit. Caretaking is a very difficult role. But I was like this, and I always said there was a bond between a father and a daughter and a mother and a son. There's something about that. The father is that protector of that daughter. And he loved me. He really did. And he cared for me. So why would I not care for him? And the day he died, everyone was in the room but one person. I walked in and was like, everyone just died out of the way, went to his bedside, and they said he was gone. I said, no, he's not. He's not. One more breath. And I saw it. He gave me his last breath. I love that man. I still miss him today. He was my rock. My mother. My father. I bought him a Mother's Day gift. Every Mother's Day, I would buy him a plant to acknowledge he was a single parent trying to play both roles. So these 7 deaths I'm talking about, I get it. I totally get it. I may have been 8. Doesn't matter. I did my homework. I get it.
Thank you.
You probably want to end this, huh?